I still remember the taste of the wine on his lips, sweet, expensive, forbidden. His hands were on my waist, his breath warm against my neck, and every part of me buzzed with the thrill of doing something I knew I shouldn't. I wasn't just sleeping with my boss. I was unraveling everything I thought I was. And then, the door creaked. Just a sound at first. I thought maybe it was the wind. But then I saw her. His wife. She didn't scream. She didn't even blink. She just stood there, framed in the doorway of the hotel suite, her eyes locked on mine like she already knew everything. Her calmness was worse than any explosion. I grabbed the sheet and stumbled off him, trying to cover myself, my voice caught somewhere between apology and denial. But she didn't look at me. She only looked at him. And what she said next changed everything, not just about us, but about the kind of woman I was about to become. "You picked the wrong girl to play with, Marcus." Then she walked away. And I thought that was the end. But it was only the beginning. Before I tell you what happened next, make sure you're alone and ready to question everything. When I first started working at Langston & Rowe, I was fresh out of grad school, hungry, and drowning in debt. Marcus Langston was a name that turned heads in every boardroom, a billionaire with a jawline made for magazine covers and a voice that made women forget what they were saying. I was supposed to be his executive assistant. Nothing more. Nothing personal. But from day one, it felt personal. He didn't treat me like a secretary. He asked about my dreams, remembered my coffee order, called me sunshine when no one else was around. And I know how that sounds, like I was desperate for attention. Maybe I was. But when a man like Marcus looks at you like you're different, like you're better than every woman he's ever known, it's easy to believe him. It's easy to ignore the whispers about how the last assistant left without notice. Easy to forget that he had a wife he rarely mentioned. I convinced myself it was harmless, emotional flirting. Late-night texts. Shoulder grazes that lingered. I told myself he was unhappy in his marriage. That I was something he needed. That I was saving him. The first time he kissed me, we were working late in his office. It started with him leaning over to explain something, but the air between us was too thick, too charged. I turned my head, and our lips just met. There was no apology. No pulling back. He touched my cheek and whispered, "I've wanted to do that since the first day you walked in." I didn't go home that night. I woke up in his penthouse with silk sheets twisted around my legs and guilt knotted in my throat. I checked my phone, 8 missed calls from my best friend, Talia. She always had a sixth sense when I was about to make a mistake. She was the one who said, "Don't sleep with your boss unless you want your whole life to be about him." I didn't listen. I told her he was different. The affair started fast, then spiraled. We met in hotel rooms, in his car, once even in the private lounge at the office. I told myself I was in control. That I was the one calling the shots. But it was a lie. Every time he touched me, I lost a little more of who I used to be. Still, I kept going. Because Marcus had a way of making you feel chosen. Like there was no one else he could possibly want. Until one night, I found an email. A simple, one-line message from an address I didn't recognize. Ask him what happened to Claire. I stared at the screen for what felt like an hour. Claire. The last assistant. The one no one talked about. When I asked Marcus, his jaw clenched so tight I thought he'd crack a tooth. He brushed it off. She was unstable, he said. She thought we had something. I had to let her go. But something about the way he said it, cold, detached, made my skin crawl. And that was the first time I wondered if I was just another Claire. Another girl with stars in her eyes and a target on her back. But by then, it was already too late. The day after his wife caught us, Marcus didn't come into the office. No texts. No calls. Just silence. I sat at my desk with a pit in my stomach, scrolling through the news like some scandal would break. Nothing. He was too careful for that. Powerful men like Marcus know how to make women disappear, not just physically, but emotionally. I told myself he needed time, that he was dealing with her, probably begging for a divorce behind closed doors. But deep down, I already knew better. That night, I got a message from her. From Vanessa Langston. It was a photo. Me in the hotel room. Lying on the bed. Eyes closed. Hair messy. Vulnerable. Taken from the doorway. Underneath, one line. Still think he's worth it? I dropped my phone. She had been watching. The whole time? Just that night? How long had she known? The next morning, Marcus was back cool, composed, wearing the same wedding band I'd once tried to pretend didn't exist. He walked past me like nothing had happened. I followed him into his office, shut the door behind us, and snapped. "Your wife sent me a picture," I hissed. She was there, Marcus. Watching us. He didn't flinch. Just leaned back in his chair and said, "She's bluffing. She wants to scare you off." "Is she?" I challenged. "Because I'm already scared." That's when he got up, came around the desk, and cupped my face like I was something precious. "I'll take care of it," he whispered. "You just need to trust me." But that's the thing, trust is what got me here. Trusting a man who lied without blinking. Trusting a smile that hid 100 secrets. Later that week, I met Vanessa. Not by choice. She showed up at the cafe near my apartment like it was nothing. Sat across from me with a lavender latte and a smirk that said I already won. "You look tired," she said. He always likes them young, but the stress hits quick. I opened my mouth, but she held up a hand. "Don't bother. I'm not here to fight over him. I'm here to warn you. Marcus doesn't fall in love, he recruits." I laughed. Bitter. Defensive. "You're just pissed he chose me." But she didn't even blink. She leaned in, eyes burning. "Oh, honey. He didn't choose you. He trained you. He pulled you in the same way he pulled me, and Claire, and God knows how many others. Same script. Same kisses. Same lies." I stared at her, every word landing like a slap. "You're not his secret," she said, standing up. "You're his pattern." After she left, I sat there alone, coffee cold, hands shaking. I thought about the late nights, the little gifts, the way Marcus looked at me like I was different. But what if I wasn't? What if I was just another copy of a woman he couldn't keep? That night, I searched Claire's name again. Nothing. No LinkedIn, no Instagram, no digital footprint at all. Like she'd vanished. Like she never existed. And for the first time, I wondered, not if Marcus was cheating, but if Marcus was dangerous. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Claire. Not her face, I didn't know what she looked like, but the idea of her. Another woman, once in love, once hopeful. Once naive enough to believe she was different. I thought about the message I'd received weeks ago. Ask him what happened to Claire. I hadn't saved the number, hadn't responded. But now I needed answers. I started with HR, pretended I needed Claire's contact info for a follow-up on project files. The girl at the desk gave me a blank look. We don't have a Claire listed for the last 4 years. Claire Summers, I pushed. Executive assistant. Last year? She checked again. Nothing. Like she never existed. So I dug deeper. Old email threads. Meeting invites. I finally found one, just one. A calendar reminder from over a year ago, dinner with Claire, 7 p.m., private lounge. My breath hitched. Private lounge. The same place Marcus once kissed me against the glass, whispering, "I've never done this before." Liar. The number that sent me the original message wasn't accepting calls. So I tried a different route. I searched her name through an old alumni database. One match, Claire Summers. Journalism major. Graduated 5 years ago. A single blog post still up on a ghost site, how to spot a charmer before he destroys you. No name. But the story? It was about him. The job offer. The gifts. The possessiveness masked as protection. The sudden blacklisting from the industry when she tried to leave. I read every word with my heart in my throat. And then the post ended with, "If you're reading this and you're where I was, get out now. He doesn't love you. He collects you." I threw my phone across the room. Because suddenly, it all clicked. I wasn't Marcus's escape. I was part of his design. That night, I confronted him. I told him I found the blog. I told him I knew about Claire. He didn't deny it. He just smiled. "She was fragile," he said. "She couldn't handle what we had." "What you had?" I snapped. "You mean what you did to her?" His expression shifted, subtle, but chilling. "You're not like her. You're stronger. You're smarter." But his compliments felt like chains now. "I'm done," I said, standing. "I'm leaving the company." He stepped in front of the door. "You walk away now, and I can't protect you." "From what?" He didn't answer. Just stared at me like he already knew how this would end. And then he let me go. But the next day, I got a call. My credit card? Declined. My lease? Under review. My final paycheck? Held for breach of contract. He was dismantling me. Silently. Efficiently. Vengefully. I called Talia in tears. Told her everything. She didn't say "I told you so," just offered her couch, her arms, her love. But I could see it in her eyes. "You gave him too much." And she was right. Then, the real twist. Claire messaged me. A new number. 2 words. "Meet me." I met Claire in a bookstore. Not a dingy back alley, not some noir cafe, just a quiet corner of normal life, the kind I had nearly forgotten. She looked nothing like what I expected. No broken woman, no victim. Just tired eyes and a steady voice that had learned not to shake anymore. "Sorry for the secrecy," she said, setting down a tea she hadn't touched. "He still has people watching me." "You mean, like, spying?" She gave a small, bitter laugh. "He doesn't let things go. But I figured you were smart enough to make it this far. So now I'm going to show you what I couldn't back then." She pulled out a folder, physical printouts, screenshots, transcripts. Emails between Marcus and legal teams. Confidential memos to HR about removing problematic personnel. A photo of a bruised arm. Hers. I covered my mouth. "You think you're special," she said softly. We all did. He chooses girls who are smart but insecure. ambitious but isolated. Girls who need validation more than they realize. He love bombs, breaks boundaries, then rewrites the narrative. Makes you feel like the villain when you finally pull away. But why me? I asked, my voice cracking. Why keep doing this? She looked at me, deadpan. Because men like Marcus don't want love. They want control. And you were perfect until you stopped obeying. I sat there, shaking, watching the truth settle around me like ash. And then I whispered, let's end it. Over the next 3 weeks, we planned. Claire had evidence enough to ruin him professionally, maybe even legally. But we needed more. I still had access to certain emails, certain meetings. And more importantly, I still had his trust. Or so he thought. I met him one last time. Told him I was sorry. That I missed him. That Vanessa scared me. That Claire had tried to turn me against him. I cried real tears because I wasn't even acting. I was scared. And disgusted with myself for knowing exactly how to play the part. He took the bait. Invited me to his penthouse. Said we'd start over. But this time, I recorded everything. His words. His threats. His promises. And the final nail, his confession. Claire begged me not to end her career. But when people don't cooperate, I have no choice. We uploaded everything. Anonymously. Sent files to journalists, HR heads, board members, even Vanessa. Claire had been right, he had patterns. And the world loves exposing men with patterns. It didn't take long. The story blew up. Media mogul under fire for pattern of exploitation. He denied it, of course. Tried to spin the narrative. Said we were scorned women. Vindictive exes. But receipts don't lie. And when Vanessa dropped her own statement, cold, composed, laced with damning detail, his empire crumbled. Langston and Rowe stripped his name off the wall. His board seat was dissolved. His accounts were frozen pending investigation. I heard he fled to Europe. Or maybe Dubai. I don't care. I got my final paycheck, along with a legal apology and a non-disclosure agreement I never signed. Claire moved to Portland. She teaches writing now. I visit sometimes. As for me, I'm learning to trust myself again. To walk past mirrors without shame. To believe that what happened to me wasn't my fault, but I still own the choices I make next. Because yes, I fell for my boss. I slept with him. I betrayed a woman I didn't even know. But I also survived. And when his wife walked in that night, I thought it was the end. Turns out, it was my beginning.